You just had a breakthrough. You just had one of the biggest breakthroughs that you've ever been able to experience on this plane in your life. And I'm hearing that this breakthrough was specifically associated with overcoming a loss, being able to move past grief associated with this loss. So there was a loss of relationship, a loss of a job, a loss of something that really kind of knocked you on your butt. And I'm seeing somebody who felt like they were drowning, felt like they were underwater, felt like they were sinking. I'm feeling like a lot of heaviness in my feet. So some like cement blocks kind of energy on your feet, feeling really just dredged down. And I'm seeing somebody who was in this space for 6 to 9 months and finally is starting to see the light again. I see you untying those blocks from your feet and choosing to rise and float to the surface. And, as you see things floating up into water, they start to be able to see the light, right? That's up there and it gets bigger and bigger the closer that you come. It's really small when you're at the bottom, right? And you're looking up, and then it gets bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger as you come to the surface. And I'm seeing somebody who is really just starting to feel that light again. They're starting to see that light again, and the light is starting to get bigger and bigger. And this is being experienced by you being able to feel more joy and excitement and like a childlike nature throughout your day. So I'm seeing somebody who's doing little jigs and dances a little bit more. Somebody who is able to kind of laugh about little things that maybe they weren't able to before. Someone who is able to kind of give themselves these little minutes and glimpses of joy that previously felt annoying or frustrating. And with this joy and excitement that you are kind of letting in and experiencing right now in the present, you're experiencing this kind of breakthrough around like what you maybe have been experiencing day to day when it came to life. Like, I'm feeling like such a heavy energy was present and things are really starting to lighten up. I just saw somebody like taking a backpack off that had like rocks in it is what I heard. So like there's like this heaviness associated with feeling like weighed down that is being released and let go of, and you're finally taking the backpack off and putting it down. Um and there's a lightness that's coming with this that you haven't felt in a really long time. And so I am seeing somebody who is kind of like experiencing this kind of hope again. This hope for life, this hope for their day to day, this hope for the moment. And this is bringing with it a lot of like joy in regards to you being able to feel like you don't have to isolate yourself so much. So I did just see the hermit in my mind's eye. So, this is somebody who you usually like isolate yourself when you're not feeling good, or you isolate yourself when you feel yucky. I heard like Debbie Downer, so not wanting to be seen as like a Debbie Downer, you'll like kind of hide yourself away or keep yourself from going out or doing things. And I'm hearing that like you're starting to like shed that in some ways and not feel like you need to do that as much. Um I definitely feel like this comes from like childhood and like things not being appreciated or seen. So like when you were a kid and you did have a bad day, or you were struggling, or you weren't having like happy positive emotions, right? As we would clarify or classify them as, you were really kind of like made to feel bad about it, and you were told to like go be by yourself and do that by yourself. And like kind of abandoned, I guess, in some ways when you weren't feeling good. There was like your parents or your caregivers were like not able to kind of sit with you in that space. Um, they weren't able to really like hold you in that space. Um, they weren't able to like kind of handle you, I guess, in that space. So, you know, because they were so kind of like rejecting when you were in those yucky emotions, there's a feeling that you've kind of carried with you where you feel like everybody is going to do that. So I might as well just keep myself away because my emotions are too much, or I'm too much, or I don't want to bring everybody else down, right? There's like this responsibility for needing to um like keep the upbeat of the room and be optimistic and positive, even though it's not realistic, right, to be that way all the time. And so there's a part of you that has learned to just isolate yourself in these moments rather than, do things that make you feel good to come out, because you're kind of punishing yourself is what I just heard. So it's like that self-sabotaging way in some ways. I don't know that you're aware of this exactly, but it is something that is coming through. And there's a little bit of like this idea that like I have to present in a certain way to be able to be around people or to be with people or to not upset people or make people uncomfortable, right? And so because of that, that's where like this hermit energy is like coming from, or this need to be a hermit, or this feeling like you need to do this, right? Because I can't receive love for exactly who I am, exactly how I feel, and all of those things because it's been seen as too much. And the other piece that's coming in around this is like your caregivers, your parent, the people around you that made you feel that way, they were not able to be in touch with their own emotions and feelings. And when they felt yucky, they were told the same things or treated the same things. So this feels like very generationally dropped down. So this is something that's happened over and over again, generationally from your family line, over and over and over again. And you know, they were doing the best that they could. They just did what they thought was right and what they were taught, right? And like that's, I mean, everybody is out here winging it, doing the best that we can, right? And so I'm hearing that, like, they can't give you or support you in ways that they didn't know how to support themselves. And so part of the reason why this message is kind of being communicated through me is because your team wants you to know that God, source, divine, whatever you call it, wants you to know that this wasn't something that was wrong with you, and this wasn't something that had anything to do with you at all. This had to do with their own inability to be able to be supported in that space and like learn that it's okay to be like that, right? So that's very interesting that that came through so clearly through that space. So this hermit energy is kind of like something you've always done because it's something that you were taught to do from such a young age. And I do see that you're having a breakthrough though, where you are like starting to like feel joy again. You're starting to feel excitement again. You're laughing at things that you weren't laughing at before, or weren't able to really. Like you're starting to feel like a cracking open is kind of what I'm seeing. So a cracking open and then light coming in. And as you continue to kind of like accept this joy and let this joy in and let yourself crack open more and more, right? You will begin to kind of have these like happier experiences, and you're bringing a lot of joy into your life. I'm seeing like a butterfly, like kind of like in a chrysalis and like popping its head out. So we're kind of in the beginning stages of this kind of breakthrough where there's this realization about like I can be happy if I choose to be happy, right? And what I choose to focus on is what's going to affect how I feel, right? And so I think there's like some type of revelation that you're having associated with this that's kind of helping you to recognize like I am what I choose to focus on, and what I choose to focus on is going to affect how I feel. And I can choose to focus on everything that I've lost, or I can choose to come to terms with that and accept things for what they are, and instead focus on the joy and the moment and the being present and right now. Right. And so there is some type of like perspective change I think that's occurring for you at this time as well, where you're starting to shift. Like an aha moment was what I just heard. And that was your team, spirit, source, divine, kind of like giving you some information to help you to kind of like turn the other way so that you can start to bring more joy and happiness into your life. And so you're being guided to continue to follow this light, continue to let it become bigger and bigger and bigger, and kind of ask yourself, like, what can I do today to bring happiness and joy into my life? And what can I do specifically to do that right now? That's within my means, within my reach, and realizing that the more that you make the choice to do that and focus on that and look towards that, the wider and the bigger that's going to expand and get, right? So like the picture I saw in the beginning of coming towards the water to the surface, right? Bigger and bigger. The more I focus on this and the more I ask myself that and the more I give this to myself, the more I will be able to feel that, experience that, and the more it will happen in my life. And so it's kind of like this I'm seeing like a snowball rolling down a hill, right? And gaining momentum and getting bigger and bigger and bigger. So recognizing that like they gave you this breakthrough is a part of that ball rolling of a snowball down a hill that you can continue to accumulate, or you could keep focusing on the other stuff. The choice is yours. If this does resonate with you, please do leave me a butterfly in the comments. And as always, love and light.